Tommy, I want to touch on the Cavs-Knicks series. We are recording this on Wednesday, April 19th, and this feels like a series that potentially could go down to the wire. That could be a Game 7 series. Knicks, of course, lost on the road last night. Cavs just completely dominating that game. A big part of that, of course, was the turnovers. 32 points off turnovers for the Cavs, and 19 of those came in the second quarter when the game really broke open. Obviously, a large part of that as well was Darius Garland going for 26 in the first half. But it felt like after a very contested, very tightly contested Game 1, that J.B. Bickerstaff and company made some pretty significant adjustments to their game plan in Game 2, and it paid off.
Cavs defense has been great all season. How much of the turnovers do you think was them versus the Knicks being sloppy?
Some of it was the Knicks being sloppy, but there definitely was a lot of talk for 2 days about the physicality of Game 1, Knicks hitting first, and I felt like that got flipped in Game 2, where the Cavs felt like the more aggressive team, the more physical team, and you can look at specifically how they guarded Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson was not double-teamed one time in Game 1. He was double-teamed 12 times in Game 2. He was blitzed in pick and roll 9 times. And the Knicks were 3 for 10 from the field with 2 turnovers on the 12 plays that he was double-teamed. So I think getting him uncomfortable was a big part of it. And then what they did with him. Look, if you're Jalen Brunson, you're going to carry a significant load and responsibility for this Knicks team. And I really believe the Cavs are looking to wear him down, both in how they're playing him when he's on the offensive end and involving him on the defensive end. They used Jalen Brunson's man 12 times for on-the-ball screens. That's the second most in any game this season. The Knicks allowed 1.78 points per direct play when Jalen Brunson was guarding the screener on a pick and roll. So that's sort of the game plan. How they will adjust, we can discuss.
This is the obvious luxury the Cavs have, having 2 all-star type guards and one backcourt. With the Cavs in particular in Game 2, the small ball lineup seemed to work pretty well with Karras. Do you feel like they found something there, or this was just a case of Karras just playing well?
Well, I believe they did find something, and a lot of times in those pick and rolls, Jalen was guarding Karras, and then he's having to recover to Karras, and he's playing, off of a pivot game or off of a closeout, and he's clearly got size on Jalen. That puts the Knicks at a little bit of a disadvantage. So I like the strategy. I think it worked. If I'm the Knicks, I'm just switching. I'm just switching and living with the consequences of that. Playing in the gaps, playing help defense. You have rib protection behind you with Hartenstein and with Mitchell Robinson. I think there was too many times where you're asking Jalen to hedge and then recover to a guy who can score. And that, to me, put the Knicks at a disadvantage. I want to talk offensively real quick, because when they blitz Jalen Brunson, first of all, it takes them out of their normal rhythm. A problem with the Knicks, they don't have a lot of shooting. And they were, I think, 7 for 29 from 3 in Game 2. So they don't have a lot of natural shooting. They were 19th overall in the NBA in three-point percentage for the season. So you're taking Jalen out of his comfort zone. And on the backside, you don't have the knockdown shooters that some other teams have that have primary playmakers like Jalen Brunson. So I like the strategy from the Cavs. The guy for me that has got to play better is R.J. Barrett. And R.J. is not a great shooter. He's also not a great finisher. And when he does drive, he's going against length with Mobley and Allen at the rim. And he's not a good pull-up shooter. And so when I know early in the second half, Tibbs ran a lot of plays for him. They kept calling chin away, which is chin action, the old Princeton chin action, into a down pick for RJ to then play side pick and roll. So when they get into those drop things, like him shooting floaters or pull-up twos, if I'm the Cavs, I'm like, great. That's a great possession for us.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who I feel like has to play better for the Knicks if they want to win this series.
Does it feel like another guy that needs to play a little better as quickly?
Yeah, for sure. And that's where I think the adjustment is is, I don't know if it means inserting him to the starting lineup, but he's got to play more.
Yeah.
And given the size of the Cleveland guards, you can afford to play him more because Quickly has had a good defensive season. He's made a huge impact. It felt like for the first 2 games he wasn't even really in the game. There was no rhythm. There was no point in the game where I felt like he was featured. And so that, to me, those are the 2 things. Barrett's got to play better, and then they've got to figure out a way to get Quickly going.